passionate, driven, enthusiastic, euphoric. This is who we are as entrepreneurs. But how we leverage these incredible attributes to dream and build businesses that scale and grow is what this podcast is all about. Hello, I'm attorneypreneur Josh Brown, and welcome to Franchise Euphoria. Hello everyone, Josh Brown here. Thrilled to be back for another episode of Franchise Euphoria. I hope you are doing awesome. Today we are going to talk about something that has been happening more and more frequently, at least to me. I've experienced it in terms of people reaching out to me who are looking to buy franchises, and there's been one consistent theme when they reach out, and that is they're all in a rush. And what I try to tell them is don't be in a rush to make a bad franchise decision. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So often when you look online or you talk with franchise professionals, or you just generally research the entire process of franchising, there's a lot of information about the actual systems. There's a lot of information about the businesses, about the owners. The franchise disclosure documents, as you know or should know, contains a fair amount of information about all those things and much, much more. But one thing that's not out there, but is absolutely central to your decision, is to not be rushed on your decision. And more importantly, don't let the franchisor rush you into a decision. In fact, I've even decided in my own practice that if somebody comes to me and seeks my assistance and they want it to be a rush job, I'm not interested in doing that. If a franchisor can't wait an extra week or two for your decision, it's the wrong franchise. Let me say that again. If the franchisor cannot wait a week or two for you to get a thorough review by your counsel, or to just take extra time to think about it, then the franchisor is not right for you. And I'll go as far as to say that if the franchisor is pressuring you in any way to make a quick decision, that is a huge, huge, huge red flag. These are businesses that you are going to be tied into for a long period of time. And more importantly, once the relationship ends, because it will at some point, could be through a sale, could be through a bad situation, but it's going to end at some point in time. There are going to be restrictive covenants that the franchisor is going to try to hold you onto. And so it's not the impact of the franchise is not just during ownership, it's post ownership. These are long-term agreements. These are typically one-sided agreements. And so a lot of thought must go into the franchise. I understand people get excited. I understand people think that the opportunities come and go, but trust me, I've been doing this long enough. If it's a really good opportunity, it's going to be there in 2 weeks from now. It's going to be there in a month from now. And if you're feeling the pressure from a franchisor, run. Do not let them pressure you into signing. I've had an experience with several people over the last couple of weeks who have been in a big hurry to get through all the documents. And what I try to say is this is a process that we have to go through, and it takes time to do a thorough review. Each franchise system is run differently. It's got its own different people who are involved in it. It's got its own organizational structure, and it's got its own legal structure that takes time to work through. So the purpose of this entire episode is to hopefully scare you enough so that you don't rush in to a bad franchise decision. It's almost like if you've ever bought a house, or you go and buy a house, you would never buy a house without getting an inspection done. And if you do buy a house and you've never got an inspection done, then it's a little bit difficult to complain after the fact if you then find mold in your house, right? Same thing with franchising. If you go buy a franchise and you don't take the time to have it reviewed by a professional who can find some of the quote unquote mold in the franchise, then quite frankly, I don't feel bad for you when you buy a bad franchise system. I'll certainly try to help you in that situation, but I don't feel bad about it because you should be smarter than that. There is enough information out there, and there's enough people like myself out there harping about this that really, it's just a really foolish decision to go into franchising and not have professionals on your side thoroughly vetting the systems. You hurt yourself, you hurt your family, and you hurt your investment, and ultimately you hurt your chances of finding success with that business. So please, as you're looking into your system, and I don't care what kind of system it is, if it's a retail franchise, a home-based franchise, if you've talked to 25 franchisees, that's all well and good, right? But that's just one part of the process. Don't bury your head in the sand. Don't ignore all the legalese, because even though they are legalese, they are going to be legally binding you to things that you need to know about before you buy a franchise. And, oftentimes in franchising, people believe, I think foolishly, that the contracts can't change. And because the contracts can't change, what's the point in having somebody review them? Well, first of all, there's a fallacy in the notion that the contracts can't change. They absolutely can change. It just depends on the system. But the bigger point is that it's being educated on what you're signing is the most important aspect of the franchise agreements. Because even if you can't change the agreement, you better be sure you understand what's in those contracts before you sign them, or else you may find out afterwards that you've signed something that you shouldn't have signed, but you're stuck. There is no right of rescission in the franchise space. I believe that there should be, but there is right now no right of rescission. In other words, once you signed the dotted line, you've signed it. And in most franchise agreements, so that's my 2 cents for this week, and look forward to being back next week. In the meantime, if you want to look at some other fantastic resources on franchising, feel free to go to my website, indyfranchiselaw.com. That's INDY franchiselaw.com, where you can look at my blog, my podcast, which now I think I have about 113 or so podcasts. It's all with all sorts of great information. I also have a free ebook called What to Know Before You Buy a Franchise. I think it will provide you with some valuable tips, information, and other gems that will help you along your journey to determine whether or not franchising is right for you. As always, look forward to the next episode. Happy franchising.
Thanks for being with us today on the Franchise Euphoria podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go to iTunes and provide a review. Also, please remember that although Josh Brown is a licensed and practicing attorney, nothing contained in this podcast should be construed as legal advice, because it is not. The information contained in this podcast is general and educational in nature, and none of it should be relied upon as legal advice. That being said, if you have questions for Josh and would like to contact him, please email him at josh@franchiseeuphoria.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you tune in to our next weekly episode.